Hey, Divorcing Gracefully and Beyond sisters. We are here. We've got a very special guest today. Christine is with us. Yay.
Hello,
So
everybody.
happy to have you here. And for those of you who are new to the Divorcing Gracefully and Beyond community, my name is Dona Rutowicz, and I am an expert transformational relationship coach. I also am a licensed clinical social worker, aka psychotherapist, but I've traded in my psychotherapy days and now I operate as this expert relationship coach because this is the tool that's needed in order to heal that soul fracture, reclaim our heart, create our life, and move forward. So today's conversation with Christine, I can't wait to chat with you because this is a long time coming. We have a lot to talk about, and we're just going to have an open, honest conversation. Christine has been part of the Divorcing Gracefully and Beyond community for a while, right? We've been working together and connected, and you've been through the program, you've done the work. And so let's just actually, why don't we just go ahead and introduce yourself? Let your sisters know here who you are, what you do, and then we'll take it from there.
I'm Christine Rogers. I live on Long Island in Centereach, New York. I work in Manhattan. I have 4 young children.
Yes, 4 kiddos. Yes.
Yes. They are 6, 9, 11, and 13 already.
Wow, 13. We got one in the 13 range.
Yes, and he's every bit a
A
13.
13-year-old.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I'm like, where did this attitude all of a sudden develop from?
Well, Christine, I can tell you from experience, because now I have an 18 and a 21-year-old, it does get better. It really is true how they say the kids go through these phases where they go through this phase where they think you're the best thing since sliced bread. And then they go through the teen phase where they think you know nothing. And now
Right.
they're starting to come back a little bit.
Right. Well, when he just doesn't want to, listen or hear me, he's had enough and thinks he's going to be like, enough already. And I'm like,
Right.
wow,
Boss.
no. And then he's, oh, mom, I love you.
I
My
love you.
favorite,
Yes.
hugging me. So I'm
Yes.
like, okay, run, stay on it, kid. But yes, I have 4 beautiful children, and I'm a corporate paralegal, and I work in Manhattan. I'm working remotely today.
You have, and just for everybody who just, so Christine is you are one of the people, and I truly mean this from the heart. You are one of the hardest working and the most dedicated women I know. You are raising these 4 children on your own, essentially, right? As a single mom, taking care, making sure that, that their life is going where it needs to be, regardless of where this divorce has taken you, right? And the impact
Right.
that it has is you're creating a new sort of family. You're holding your job, you're working, that's very important to you. And you also have a Silver Hearts fund right? The
I
sanctuary.
do. I have a nonprofit for senior dogs that
I
have been
love
kept
that.
in shelters, and they'll come to me to spend the rest of their days, however many days they have left. So,
And I tell you, I don't know how you do it,
I've
my
had.
friend. We've talked about this several times. I don't know, you managing the career, the kids, and the animals, but somehow you do. So why don't we get into, let's talk a little bit about, when you came to Divorcing Gracefully and Beyond. And let's say this is post couples counseling, because that's one part of our life that you went through, right? The couples counseling, trying to make the marriage work, and it just
Right.
wasn't happening. But let's go, when you decided to draw the line in the sand and really do the work on yourself, where you were at, if you could remember, like going back to that point versus where you are now. So let's just talk about that journey.
I think at that time, everything that came out, all the things that have been going on around the time of the divorce, it's just, it's traumatizing. It's a
Yes.
traumatizing event to begin with.
Yes.
My situation was just, it was overwhelming, and that there was so much going on that I wasn't aware of. And that in itself was a shock to the system. And feeling hopeless and so scared because I have these 4 children. And while I've always been the breadwinner, can I still do that on my own?
I'm so glad you said that, Christine, because I think this is really important for everybody to hear. And if you're like Christine and you're like myself, we are women who were the primary breadwinners. We held a certain role. I say we're smart, we're intelligent, we have a degree, we have good jobs, right?
Right.
And yet it's this relationship thing that is causing us the most strain in our life, right? And it really can cause the most, on the outside, people could say, wow, she's got her shit together. Wow, she's so successful. Wow, look at what she does. Wow, she has all that. But
All those things.
on the
Mhm.
inside, we're an absolute mess, right?
Right.
That we have all these patterns and these thoughts and behaviors and these fears of how am I going to handle this, right? Because
Exactly.
let's think about this. Even though there's something, at least in my when I was going through my divorce, even though I was managing so much of the puzzle and I was the major breadwinner and handling things, just thinking that I had the perceived someone else going through this life with me gave me some sort of safety, even though it wasn't really happening. Did you feel
Right.
the same way? Like it was like this perceived sense of safety, but it wasn't really actually safety.
Right. I can relate to that
Yep.
100%. That's exactly what that feels like, where all of a sudden that net that's gone. And now
Yeah.
you're just dangling on the trapeze wire,
Yes. Yes. And a
balancing
very and I
all by
like how you say
yourself.
that because it really is feeling like a trapeze wire because it feels like you take one wrong move and
You're
that's it.
over. Right.
And you got no net. Like you're on the trapeze wire with no net. Yeah, I know
Right.
that feeling.
And that's and that feeling of, this had been my plan and I'm so invested in it. And this was the rest of my life. I didn't think I had to, think past that. And realizing that I have to start all over again. And I have 4 kids and how did I get here? Right.
Yes. And so thank you also, Christine, for saying that because I think we need the permission as women not to come from a place, now we could look at it, right? Not coming from a place of blame, shame, or condemnation, but to
Right.
really be honest that, yeah, like, how did I get here? Like, how did this is not part of the plan. This wasn't,
Right.
wait a minute, let me look at my plan book. Nope,
I
not
did
part of the plan.
everything right. I
Yeah,
did everything right.
yeah,
How did I get here? And how
yeah,
did I end up with a partner like this? And now I'm at this divorce crossroads and,
yeah,
all that uncertainty. That's just, I'm used to creating stability. And when you're living in instability, all of a sudden, it's very uncomfortable place to be I know, for someone like
yeah.
myself.
Yeah. And let's think about how that instability impacts most areas of our life, right? For me, it showed up in I would get up and I would, again, put the makeup on and go to the bus stop and no one knew any different. I would go to work and there was no, but on the inside, again, it was the struggle and I wasn't sleeping at night.
Yep.
I was having difficulty thinking. My job was impacted. I was making mistakes at work or I wasn't necessarily able to really see. So how did it show up for you? Like what happened?
Very much. I felt like I used to liken it to thinking through a mud puddle.
Oh, that's
I
a good
felt
one.
like I couldn't think clearly. And
Yep,
my mind was just a, 15-lane highway of
yep,
everything going back and forth and trying to just say, I just need to stop all that noise for a second so that I could focus because my focus was gone and trying to manage everything with work and having an extremely demanding job
yep,
that was
yeah.
relentless in itself. And the 4 kids and their schedule and everything coming on from that and COVID even coming into
Oh,
play.
yeah, let's even bring COVID in, right?
Right.
Yeah. Let's let's it's like, what else can we just throw in on our calendar here?
Exactly. It was like, how many things can I shoulder before I break? And I was like, I don't want that to, I don't want that to happen. But, at some point you're like, I'm even worrying for myself,
Right.
all of these things. How can I juggle them all? And and it's scary. And I wouldn't sleep at night. And I felt like my, job, I couldn't focus on my job and
Mhm,
get work done.
mhm.
And it was just, which is not me. I was not showing up at my best, and I was really struggling with that.
Yeah. Because
Hard,
I think it causes more distress when "Hey, wait a minute, this isn't the quality of work that I do. This
right?
isn't how I show up. This is not how I am." Hi, Michelle. Michelle is saying hi. Michelle's a DG sister too. So good to see you, Michelle. And I want to, if you're listening to this and you're aligning with what Christine and I are sharing, I just want you to know it's normal, right? It's normal. It's not because you don't have the talent. It's not because you can't handle the stress. It's not because you don't have the ability to create a new future for yourself. It's what's happening is there's a tsunami. Whether you're just starting your divorce, you're mid-divorce, or even if you're post-divorce, is there's past patterns, beliefs, and behaviors, let alone just the day-to-day stuff that we're handling that puts our brain literally in that fight or flight mode, right? So what I like to say is when our brain is in fight or flight, you can't paint the house while the porch is on fire. Right.
Right.
The only thing that you're looking for is where's the next ball going to drop. Right. And this reinforces
Right.
the idea that I can't trust anybody, that I've got to just do this on my own. Right. And now I'm saying this idea doesn't mean it's a fact, right? Because feelings aren't facts, they're feelings. But
Right.
this is what digs us more into this struggle or suffering.
Absolutely.
Right. Is our worst fears are coming true before our eyes. And then it's almost like the self-fulfilling prophecy comes into place and everything that we feared is showing up.
And that was, I think, the tone of everything I was worrying about. I felt like was coming true throughout the whole, from the initial filing for divorce and
Yep.
through, and then I kept trying, was saying, I'm creating self-fulfilling prophecies.
And that's, and let's also go across the bridge because, going through DG and beyond, right, and doing the work, I think you now realize that, right? You could look back, and again,
Right.
it's not by fault or it's not by blame. It's just understanding now, wow, wait a minute, I kind of was creating that, those self-fulfilling prophecies, or not necessarily creating, but attracting it, right? Because when we're in a certain energetic vibrational frequency and our brain is in fight or flight, that's a natural state to be in, is we are looking for what could go wrong. We're not looking at what could go right.
Right.
Right. And if something isn't going wrong, we sort of will be hyper aware to find something to go wrong in a sense. And I know that may sound woo-woo to people or weird, but it is the God's honest truth. It's sort of like if I say to you, Christine, I don't want you to think about a purple unicorn. What are you going to think about?
Exactly.
You're going to think about a purple unicorn, and that's all you're going to see, right? So if our brain is stuck in fight or flight, and all we're thinking about is the loss and the pain and the fear and the worry and the doubt, that's all we're going to see.
Right.
We are now creating that self-fulfilling prophecy.
Right.
So let's fast forward a little bit, right? Of all of the work you've done, because what I like to say at DG and Beyond, our work here isn't necessarily rocket science. I think the real challenge comes in choosing yourself, in choosing you and being open to change the patterns that have been with us for 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years, and be willing to be open to saying, wait a minute, let me become aware of these things, number one. But number two, what do I need to do to change? Because, in order to create a new personal reality, we really do need to create a new personality. We've got to create a new way we're showing up in the world. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about, the work that you've done in Divorcing Gracefully and Beyond, and the transformations that you've had, and just the awareness and the ahas, and what we'd like to say is crossing the bridge. Like, what were some of the key things that stick out for you?
I think being able to turn my daily thoughts around into something positive, and keeping in mind that positive energy is going to attract positive things.
Yes.
And that, this is an evolution of myself.
I love that word, because it's true. It's an evolution. Yeah,
absolutely. And I'm going through a change, and it's recognizing the things, recognizing that for the last decade and a half, I had never put myself first, and I was settling for a lot of things. And
Christine, you're just nailing it. 1, 2, 3, right? I think everybody.
I have you to thank for that, though. These are all the things through the program that it really highlighted where I needed to, work on myself, and the things I needed to recognize within myself. And how, as busy as I am and all the things I take on, I'm not usually doing those things. I have an inability to say no. Right.
Yes. So would you consider yourself in the past, right? And it's still, again, I like to say it's an evolution, right? But in the past, would you consider yourself to be a people pleaser?
Yes.
Yes.
100%.
Yeah. And I want everybody who's listening to this, right? And look at, I just want to use Christine as the model, and I hope that's okay, Christine.
Please do.
You've learned this now, right? We like to say we're going to stay out of the drama and we stay in the data, and we could objectively look at what we're holding and say, does this serve me or does it hurt me? We're not going to get into the story. We're not going to get into the meaning. We're not going to get into why am I always doing things for other people? It's just that, yes, I'm a people pleaser, and now I need to change that, right?
Right.
I'm becoming aware of it.
Right. 100%. And
Mhm.
I still struggle with that.
Yep.
Right. That's not something that changes
It's
very
an
quickly.
evolution of it,
Right. But I'm
Yep.
cognizant of it now, which,
Correct.
where I'm not just doing
Yeah.
and then sitting and saying I'm so overwhelmed and I'm being pulled in all these different places and, never doing anything for myself. It's different now, where at least
Because you hold the boundary now. You get to
exactly.
say is I'm choosing, I don't have to do this for someone, right? That's a big difference. I don't have to do this.
Right.
I'm choosing to do this. And even if this means that I may be exhausted while I'm doing it, like I may choose to take my children, right after school, go to gymnastics or do this or do that. And I know that I'm going to be exhausted, but I'm choosing to do it not because I need validation or I need to do this to think that I'm important
Right.
or filling in that like this is what good mothers do. I'm doing this because it's something I want to do. That's a
Right.
huge difference.
Yes. 100%.
Right?
Mhm.
Tremendous difference when we could take power back and say, I'm choosing to do this because I want to do it, not because I have to. We're not
Right.
manipulated anymore by the situation.
Yes, 100%. And that's definitely,
Yeah.
that was one of the biggest things, always leaving myself last. And now, and
Yep.
going through the program was a great opportunity for really to almost, I don't want to say force, but I put myself in the situation because I knew I wanted to look and evaluate where I needed to be better
Yep.
and how I could be better because I want to live a happy life. This shouldn't
Yes.
be the end, right? This isn't the end. This is the beginning. And I need to do the work to get there.
Oh,
And
I love it. You girl, are you I just want to be like high
I
five.
get this
High
all
five.
I get this all from you. And I say over and over again that
Yep.
you have been the beacon of light in
Mhm.
my life in recognizing that I was in a situation that I couldn't stay in and was never going to get better. And recognizing all of, I could be my best self and being part of it was the inaugural program. It was the first
Yes. Yes, it was the way back. Yes, I
yes,
remember. Yep.
and I was so excited to be part of it, and I
Yep.
felt like it was such a great group of women to be with, and then really just going through and all these light bulbs and epiphanies that you're having about yourself and saying, yeah, that's totally me. And literally a change in behavior. I'm going to wake up every day and I'm going to, think of these 3 positive things, or I'm going to
Yep.
write in a journal, and, I'm going to put, a vision board together of where I want to be, and just everything positive. I want to be a magnet for everything positive in my life. And I think that was the biggest takeaway was turning around that, you know, that negative that I was carrying in my shoulders, to
Mhm.
really looking
Mhm.
at everything positively and saying the divorce was the best thing that ever
It
happened.
was for you. I know now again, for everyone who's listening, you may think me and Christine are batshit crazy, but we're really not. We're not off our meds. We're not going off the side rocker. Like truly, we do now look at our divorce as happening for us, not to us. And you truly do see that. And I believe that with all my heart. I know I say God, whether universe, source, it's really not in religious space. It really is that spiritual space where you connect with your higher self. For me, it's just that's the term I use is God. But when I say God, will the universe allows these things to happen not because it's there to hurt you, but we go on what our global belief system at DG is that the universe is always conspiring for us, even in the suck. So
Right.
even in the external circumstances that seem to be against us, we are not going to fall prey to those because we're not moved by external circumstances, we're moved by internal circumstances. And we know now that you have the process, we know we can create that. We no longer have to be worried that we can't have the life we want. We actually could be hopeful and in an expectation, right?
Right.
Because we could create it now.
Absolutely. And that manifesting that and living that daily, I think
Yep.
has been just an overwhelming uh positive for everything. And I mean, I look back at where I was and where I'm in now, and I'm like, I can't
You are a
believe
whole
I was
new
so
woman.
upset.
Like, truly, like, you are literally a brand new woman, and even just seeing, the smile on your face and the energy and your vibrant spirit, and it allows you to be a better mom. It allows you to be, running, the Sacred Hearts or the Silver Hearts, right? Like,
Right?
running that for the animals and for yourself and for your relationships and for work. Like, we literally get to show up in such a different way where,
It
God,
is.
like, if you think about it, just because we have a thought doesn't mean it's true, right? And
Mhm.
again, feelings aren't facts. But if you think about, like, we have a choice to look at where we've come from and remain there, or we have a choice to look at where we want to go towards and remain there.
Right.
I like to say, let's fall in love more with our future than our past. I'm looking for life to ruin my lipstick more than my mascara, right?
Right. Mhm. Exactly.
I'm
100%.
done crying. Those days of crying and those and it doesn't mean that there's not grief, and it doesn't mean that they aren't tears, but
Right.
it's not suffering. Does that make sense?
Makes total sense. Yes, there are still days when you look back, and it's, there is still a little, sad in that that's the way it had to be, but also a positive side to it, that that's the way it had to be.
That's the way it had to
You
be.
know,
Mhm.
you know,
Mhm.
you looking at it, well,
Yep.
it's too bad that it ended that way.
It
But
is. And
I'm glad it
you know
did.
what? I think too is that I'm glad you said that. Is we don't wake up as little girls to say, "Oh gosh, I can't wait to be divorced. I can't wait to have to, like, figure out how to raise 4 kids on my own. Oh,
Right.
yay. Gonna be fun." Like, we don't wake up that way. We wake up with, like you said, "I thought this was gonna be my life. This is my plan." Now, Christine and I are very similar in the way that we're type A personality styles. We have things buttoned up. We have plans. We have spreadsheets. We have like,
Yes.
you know what I'm saying? Like, and so
Mhm.
when things go off plan,
Yeah.
it really could wreak havoc. However, that's a perception, because in this particular case, in the moment, what felt like it was off plan, looking back now, was actually a perfectly orchestrated symphony,
Yes. I agree
right?
with that 100%.
And I think if you're listening to what Christine is sharing and you're listening to this conversation, is you are going to be guided to the work that's right for you, whether it's here at Divorcing Gracefully Beyond or it's another resource for you. But when you put out to the universe that you're ready for the work, that you're ready to change the trajectory of your path, that you're ready to draw the line in the sand and take control back over your life, that opportunity is going to come up for you to do the work. Now, Christine, and the reason why Christine is where she is today is because that opportunity came up and she said yes. She answered the call. As scary as it was, as uncertain as you were, all the worries and all the things that could have gone wrong, you just knew. And sometimes this knowing has to override the head, right? Because again, you and I are very similar. We're very much in our head. We think things through, we process, we understand, we have that brain. But that's good in business, but that will keep us stuck for the rest of our life on this personal side and our journey of creating ourselves. It's
Right.
a completely different tool that we need to use. And so when you get that calling to do the work and you find the right person, again, whether it's me and the team here at Divorcing Gracefully Beyond and your sisters, or there's someone else that you're connecting to, answer the call. What would you say to that, Christine? Like, you
I
know,
I feel like we happened to talk, and you said, I'm launching this program, and I
yes.
said, God, the universe,
Yep.
again, puts these opportunities in your path
Yes.
at the right time,
Yes.
and it felt like it fit,
It
and
fit.
I need to do this. And even going through the program, knowing that, having that stability of being able to come every week and with the same group of
Yep.
women, and really go on an evolutionary
Yep.
journey with them, that was the stability I needed. you
Yeah.
know that was something I could hold on to,
Yes.
that I knew was going to come every week, and
And
it
you could
wasn't.
show up whatever way you needed to. And I think this is the difference too between coaching and therapy. So a lot of people sometimes ask me, like, I don't understand, like, what's the difference between coaching and therapy? And therapy really looks at where we've come from. It looks at the past. And as a therapist, I'm very limited in how I could direct you, right?
Mhm.
I can't really guide you. I can't really tell you exactly which direction to take. And I think therapy is great in so many areas when we need an unbiased opinion or we need some clarity, and we don't necessarily need direction per se, but we really need some clarity. Therapy is a wonderful tool.
Right.
But when you're going through a divorce or post-divorce and your brain is in fight or flight and you can't even think barely for yourself, right? You can't figure this out on your own. Like, there's the insightfulness is
Right.
opposite, and that's why therapy doesn't work.
Right.
Like, we've got to be in this coaching arena where I can guide you, where I can direct you. I could call you out on your shit.
Mhm.
We could be there to pick you up on those days where you just don't think, like, oh my gosh, like I can't seem to get out, or on those days where you feel like I've been doing the work and I'm doing this, but I'm not seeing the manifestation yet. I feel like I just want to give up, that we could keep going, because most people will give up 2 feet before gold.
Right. And to have that, you know, you're literally in the mindset, I don't even know what to do next. I don't
Yes.
even
You
how
don't
to
even know.
what should I be doing next? I'm not even
Mhm.
sure. You're overwhelmed with
Yep.
because all of, social media and outside says, okay, we got to pick yourself up and move on. Right.
Right. Don't you love that? Oh, just get over it. Just
Right.
just get over it. Like, you're,
How
like,
to
you
do
just
that.
get over it, because how do you do that if you're still, and then what begins to happen too, if you're smart, intelligent, good family, good friends, and you have a career and you're working, you begin to think, why can't I do that? Right? Then we begin to think, what's wrong with me?
Right.
What I don't know. Maybe I should be farther along than I want to be. Like, why do I keep attracting? And then another thing that will happen, I see this all the time, is let me going to put you on Match, go out and date. And then what ends up happening is you go out and date and you just keep attracting your ex-husband 10 times over, in a different guy, different way, different shape, different form. Just the same patterns keep showing up and showing up. And so,
If you do the work,
yes,
eventually that doesn't
that
happen.
doesn't happen. Exactly. Because when you do the work,
You meet the
now
right
we no longer have to be afraid of dating. We no longer have to be afraid of meeting people, because there's an expectation we're meeting the right people. We know we are, because our energetic vibrational frequency is no longer in that lack frequency. That's
right.
fractured frequency. When
Mhm.
we elevate to number one, courage in ourselves, to do the work in ourselves, we immediately bring our frequency up, right? And then when we're doing the work, we're vibrating in the love frequency for ourselves first, right? So what would you say about that, about becoming your own soulmate first? How important is that in the process and the journey? Because I think, to me, it is one of the
I think that's
first thing we
critical.
have to do.
That's critical. You do have to really love who you are and let go and forgive yourself for what you could be punishing yourself on, how you got there, and what
Yep.
perception of mistakes that you made and what you did wrong. I don't think that I was helping myself in really in carrying that guilt of doing something wrong, and I really needed to start again putting myself first and appreciating who I was, and loving who I was first, and
Yep.
saying I have such a great life ahead of me, and waking up every day and start and believing that, and
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 knowing it. Yes, because you have to believe it. And if you're think about the 5 people you hang around most, that's who we are. And typically, when we're going through struggle, we tend to go to what is natural to us, right? That's comfortable. So we're going to go to those 5 people who may be family members, maybe friends, maybe colleagues. But what's end up happening is we're reverberating the same toxic energy, because they're also giving us advice that isn't necessarily the best thing, right?
right,
Again, people and friends, I think their intention is beautiful. They want to see you healed and they want to see you happy, but the advice they're giving you is based upon their particular life journey, which may not be the best advice for you, right?
right,
Like, I may be able to tolerate dairy, but you may not, Christine. So if I tell you, okay, you want to eat really well, then have a glass of milk every day. Well, you could be like,
right,
God, if I drink a glass of milk, I'll be dead tomorrow. Like, it's not,
right.
right? Like, it's not working. It's the same thing. So people are going to give you advice based upon what's good for them. And
Right.
it's to remember that that advice is coming, their intentions beautiful and wonderful, but it's like the blind bleeding the blind, right? If you're following advice, don't blindly follow advice or accept or surrender to anything that you haven't first challenged or you haven't first really thought about, because again, in human nature, people are giving you advice because they want to see you better so they could feel better.
Right.
They're not necessarily really giving you the advice of what's best for you because again, they're not trained.
Right.
They don't know
And they don't
how to
want to
do that.
necessarily say anything negative, and they don't put
Right.
any slant. So they're, I mean, and you get that it's not coming from a bad place,
No,
but
it's coming, but it could drive you crazy, especially if you have a parent or a parent, who's telling you things and, and they're used to seeing you in a certain role and here you are trying to change that role and
right.
it's tough. However, and I think this is going back to the reason why Divorcing Gracefully and Beyond and the reason why I created it is that's that stable place for you to come. It's a
Right.
stable place with women just like us
Mm-hmm.
who are all on the same journey,
Yep.
who are going to when one woman rises we all rise. So it's a community that's, if someone is it found their soulmate or is achieving financial success or the creativity is at the roof, every single sister is going to be like congratulations, because we know that by saying congratulations it means wow, if she could do it so could I, which
Right.
the world usually, if you think about it, the competitive nature that's in, especially in women, not sharing resources or
Oh, and yes.
or saying wow, like being jealous. And there's nothing wrong per se if you find yourself in that state, if you're jealous or you're looking at other people, why does she have it and I don't? But I
Right.
think the opportunity comes, like, what does, if I stay in the state of jealousy or want or anger, how does that serve me or hurt me?
Right.
Right.
And I
What?
feel like a lot of women, don't necessarily, they aren't uplifting. And I shouldn't say a lot of women, but there are a few women you'll come across in your life that are not, they aren't going to be a champion with you. And I always say that women should be champions for each other.
100%.
And and to have that
Yep.
space in the program really was I needed that too, to say that,
It's like a new pond, right? What I like to
right,
say is we have our ponds and we have wonderful friends and wonderful family, and they're still our pond and they're still going to be there for us. However,
right,
we've got to take accountability and responsibility, again, the data, not the drama,
right,
to
yeah,
say, I'm going to take accountability for my life to move it in this direction. And I don't know how. I don't know how to go across the bridge. I'm on this side of the bridge. I want to go to this side of the bridge.
exactly.
I need to cross over. But it's like when you're in this new pond, now when you begin to see, wow, Susie was where I was just a few weeks ago. And now she's through forgiveness. She's learning how to trust herself. She's holding boundaries. She's moved out of her people pleasing. Wow, now Susie becomes the model.
Right.
And now that gives you the ability, because now we tap into that energy. And what I like to say is you want to be around the people and the energetic frequency of where you want to be, not where you
Exactly.
came from. Because just by
Mhm.
being in that energetic frequency, even if you did nothing but show up, you're in the draft. You're,
Right.
you're around people, right? Who are smart, successful, who are moving forward, who are changing, and you're like, wow, this is cool. Because now I could
Mhm.
play. I could be me. So
It's
what would you say to the woman who, like you, if you go, let's go back to the beginning, right? Where not necessarily in the beginning of the divorce, but maybe even like right after the divorce, where you're looking to sort of recreate that life and stepping into that space where she's worried, she's uncertain, she's fearful.
mhm.
What would you say to her? Because there's someone, Christine, and I believe this, that in these conversations, whether it's one person or 1,000 people, we don't know, but there's someone who needs to hear Christine. There's there's at least one woman out there who's going to align with Christine so much, and you are going to be what's going to give her the catalyst to finally say, I need to do this work. So what would you say to that person?
Coming from a marriage like mine that, not it only ended so badly, and having so much come out from it, and really being at such a broken place, because you're learning about everything at that time and not knowing where to go. um it was literally just making the choice, and because you're almost you're desperate for something, and you're
I love that. And I'm going to put that here so everyone can see it, is choose. There's something weird with my keyboard. Let's see if we can get it back. Choose you, right? Choose me.
Yes, we had that. I don't even remember how we just happened to be on the phone that day,
Mm-hmm.
and you were telling me about the program, and I was like, this is it. This is a
Yep.
sign. I believe in signs, and this was the sign.
And I say that. Yep.
I
That it's never going back to our global belief system that the universe always conspires for us, is that divine timing. It's literally going to show up in your lap. Literally
right.
will show up.
Mhm.
Now, this is what Christine said, which is so important. You've got to choose you. No matter how many years you were a mom, you were a worker, a leader, a friend, a sister, you've invested every decision that you've made as a woman, because we as women, we tend to make our decisions based not necessarily on what's best for us, but how is that decision going to impact my children or my work or my family or my loved ones, right? Or my friends? How is that going to work? And this is the opportunity to choose you first. Doesn't mean that your family is going to be any less served. It doesn't mean that your work, in matter of fact, they're going to be more served, right? Because when you choose you,
Mhm.
you have power back and you have freedom back.
100%.
You have
And
happiness.
I felt like that was, it's not saying, well, I'm going to abandon I'm putting me first and the kids can just wait for
And
everything.
granted, there are days we do want to abandon everybody. I mean, like,
Dogs can run amok,
I'm
it's
going
like,
on the train.
it's
I
going to
remember
be
going to
crazy
the
here.
store the other day, and now my kids are 18 and 21, right? But I'm in the store, and it's still so ingrained in my system. I hear this little kid go, "Mom," and I'm like, "What?" And I'm thinking, "Oh my God!" Like I just reacted from such a different, like, you get to those days where I don't want to hear my name, I don't want to hear my anything.
Right.
However, yes, we do need to choose us.
Right. And I think that, looking and saying, even if it's saying, I need to be better and to show up better for my
Yeah.
kids. If that has to be the catalyst, you still can't make it to, I just want it to do for myself, do
Yep.
it for your kids, because I want it. My kids had lived, you know, through a trauma in itself of
Yep.
the divorce and of the marriage. And, I wanted them to see that there is something better and how they can better deal with situations that are traumatic like that. I could
Yep.
help them with that. And I
You can
wanted to
now.
give them a
Yep.
life skill. They're young enough where they could take that and say, and I even tell them, as bad as the situation was, I give them all the positives of where we are now. And I hear them
Yep.
when they talk about divorce now,
Yep.
they're like, yeah, but there's no fighting anymore.
Yep.
Mom, our house is very calm. It's a happy
Because
place.
you've created that, Christine. Like that's an important piece to take into and really be proud of that for you, because that house could have been very, very different. But we teach at DG, and you have done it, is our house is a place of love. We command it
Right.
to be that way, because that's the only thing that's going to happen in our house. And what we do is we change the generational trauma, right? And the generational impact that the divorce, the anger, the bitterness, all of that stops with us.
Right.
Now, as what I would say as pioneers in this, as we are changing the generational track of our children's children, like this is the work that you do and had done on yourself, Christine, will
Right.
now be here literally
Hmm.
forever. Like that's a lifetime, right?
Right.
That you're putting through. But as a pioneer, sometimes that means you're coming through new territory and you're going to get hit in the face with some bushes.
Right. Absolutely. And it does
Yep.
have a ripple effect for the rest of your life. I mean,
Yep.
like I said, the universe puts things in your path. Any conversation that I have, that I have an opportunity to be positive or, help someone get to a place of positivity,
Yep.
and or help them recognize that, this is a journey and this had to happen. And, just get that introspective,
Yep.
um, I take it. And I said, I feel like I've learned that literally from from the program, because I
And
don't
you've got your life back.
before.
Yeah. And because we don't know what we don't know. right?
Right.
Like you just don't know. And if we're not aware of something, we can't change it.
Right. Exactly.
And so you do get this whole new, what I would call blueprint of what life could be like. Because a lot of people will come to me, what happens if it doesn't work? What happens if it doesn't work? And I ask them, what happens if it does?
Yes.
Right? What
Exactly.
happens if it does? Because you've got nothing to lose. Like literally, you've got nothing to lose. You've got only everything to gain and getting your life. And I know that when I go to my grave, I want to go in that grave saying I did, not I would have, should have, could have, or I wished I could have, or I wish I would have done this differently. And it doesn't matter if your kids are 13 or 53 or 40. It does not matter. Adult or children, you could
Yep.
still heal that pattern within
Right.
your family. That's the power of transmutation of energy and the transmutation of quantum physics, which I won't even get into right now, but a lot of what we talk about, but you can change those patterns. And in the meantime, in this lifetime, you get to live.
Right.
You're not just surviving, you're thriving and you're living. And you're getting to go to bed at night. Like I say this every single night. I am so blessed and thankful
Right.
that I have this
Think.
opportunity at life, right? That I'm here, even, and because it's never good or bad. It's what we perceive it to be, right? It's the situation isn't good or bad. It's the label that we're putting on it.
Right.
So when like you said, I'm choosing the label now. Wait a minute. My brain wants to choose a label, and that's not even the label that I would want to choose. That's kind of maybe from my mother or maybe from my current, but no, I'm going to choose a label of how I'm showing up for life, which is what you're doing. So congratulations, my friends. Really, seriously, everything and so much. So what's in your future? Tell us what plans are for the next 5 or 10 years. Where do you want to see yourself?
Oh, next 5 or 10 years. Well, I'm definitely so I mean, I started a new job, so different than what I was doing. And I
Oh, I have to tell. I didn't know that.
yes,
Congratulations.
you know, I have
Yes.
a new job. And I met somebody who is he's like a prince. You wouldn't believe. It's just like
Christine, all these good
unbelievable.
things.
Like he's, everything you've ever envisioned and wanted, he checks every box. So, it's on I still wake up some days, and I can't believe it, where, everything that wasn't serving me has, sort of, I look at it like, or the space shuttle taking off, and then the
Yes.
rockets come
Yes.
off after they get into a certain level. And that's what I feel like I'm
You're taking
emerging
off.
like that. Yes, I'm taking off. And all the things that weren't serving me, all the people in my life who weren't serving me are being left behind and, being replaced with much better things. And, I just thought we travel. I said,
These are all the things you spoke about that you wanted to do, and you're
yes,
doing them.
it's,
Yes.
it's unbelievable, really, to watch how things have just lined up.
And you know what I want to say for yourself, Christine, is just as a coaching, if that's okay, I'm going to come in and coach you a little bit
Yes,
in the conversation because I can't help myself.
I know.
I,
I love you.
however, what I would love you to consider doing, if you're open to it, is looking at this, like the travel, this wonderful person that you have, this job, because if we're barely operating, we don't have the ability to do these things for ourselves because we just don't have, or if our thoughts, even if we have a good life and things are exactly where we want them to be per se, but it's this relationship thing. If our thoughts are constantly ruminating on what we don't want, we can't really, there's no room for more. We can't see the
Right.
label through the jar. We're stuck. Right.
Mhm.
And so I would love for you to consider just assessing, right? Just like we're talking about today, this travel, this person, this job. And it doesn't mean it needs to be perfect, right?
Right.
But all of these things, and to say, wow, I did that. That was me. Because that's something we don't do,
No, we
right?
don't give ourselves credit for it.
We don't do it. And this is not luck. This is not snake oil and let me wish and hope on a prayer. Yes, there's praying and there's hope, but there's strategy and there's tools that
Mindset.
we use to the mindset to create your reality. This reality didn't come to you passively. The reality that you're living came to you because you strategically changed, right?
Right. Right. Yes. Sorry.
That's okay. Work's calling in. Say hi, work. All right. But that's what I want you to consider is
Right.
is reminding yourself at the end of every night, right? Just bookending your night before you go to bed, hand on your heart. This is what I do. I just lay in bed, hand on my heart, and just to look at what you've manifested, because this is your garden, my friend, right?
Mhm.
And and this is the refinement of the garden, is saying, oh, there's a little weed over there. I need to look at that weed. Let me pluck it out, right?
Let's get rid
And
of
then,
that.
oh, look, I noticed that there's more flowers that I didn't even anticipate over here. Oh, wow, I'm going to share these more. And so this journey, Christine, of where you have brought your life and your children's life, because
Mhm,
thank God those children have you as their mother. Really, like you're blessed to have them. They're blessed to have you. But
mhm,
what you have created is because you've decided it, you've created it, you're nurturing it, and you're continuing to. So
mhm.
the reason why we do want to say, like, I did this, I'm so excited, like, this is me, is the whole law of reciprocity is about giving and receiving,
Right.
right? And so when you receive and you celebrate that what you have accomplished, you are now creating new neural pathways, and you're creating subconscious belief systems that reinforce what you're creating, right? So even if you happen to go down the wrong path, or let's say you make a decision that doesn't quite serve you, the universe is going to, because your subconscious is already so deeply embedded with your belief systems that you've created, it's going to course correct for you
Mhm.
faster than you even know.
Right.
So
And you have to do
congratulations.
that. You have to look at everything in your life. You have to look at it and come from that place, though.
Yes.
And and it's important to get into that and develop that mindset,
And
which
this is Christine and myself are living proof that it doesn't matter where you are, what's against you, what you're facing, what you think to be the best or the worst scenario, it's all aside. This, Christine and I are living proof that no matter where you are in your journey, whether you're married, not married, divorced, beginning, middle, end, you could put all of that aside, it's irrelevant. But if in your heart you're not aligned with yourself, if you're not, if your life, if what you're seeing on your TV screen of life isn't where you want it to be, you no longer have to be in the space of what am I doing wrong, or this is terrible, or I don't want this. It's just saying, okay, I want a different TV screen. I'm
right.
ready for a new programming, and I'm ready for a new show. And what do I need to do in order to get there? Right. And be open to receiving the guidance that you get. Because when you put it out there, again, that guidance is going to come. And if you do feel connected to me and Divorcing Gracefully and Beyond community, underneath this video will be a link that you could book a breakthrough to life and love call with me. And on this call, Christine knows it is simply, I start right here with this sheet. This is my blank sheet I have, right? Blank piece of paper. It's you and me strategizing where you are. And if I think that Divorcing Gracefully and Beyond is a great fit for you, I'm going to let you know. And if I feel there's a different resource, I'll let you know that too. But what
Mhm.
I will say is this conversation is for women who are committed, resourceful, and coachable. If you're just kicking the tires and looking for book recommendations, this is not the call for you, right? This is the call for if you're ready to draw the line in the sand and make those changes in your life, then go ahead and book the call. And again, if it's not me, be open to that wherever that the universe is guiding you, because it's going to happen, right? Like Christine, like you happen to be talking, the program happened to be starting. There's no coincidences. It was all synchronicities.
I
And
do
the rest is
believe
history.
that. I
Yeah.
believe that 100%. And I'm so grateful to that program for helping me really give me a direction and knowing, at least a starting point.
Well, will you promise to come back a year from now and let's do a reevaluation?
Yes.
We'll do a reevaluation of where you are. All right. So guys, it was so good to see you. Sending everybody my love. Have a great kick-ass day. And Christine and I will see you on the other side. Sending love. Bye.